All right, what do we have here? It's Illegal Shift. It's on the One More, and I'm out of here. Studios channel. I'm John. I'm an actual 911 dispatcher. Could you believe that you have the honor and privilege of meeting someone with like a very blue-collar job? There's tens of thousands of them across this country. Joining me, as always, is Jason Kiefer, an American firefighter, someone who could actually put out a fire, not just because he knows how, but because he's well-equipped. Jason Kiefer. Did you like that? It's a pun. How are you doing this week?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I feel like that was a strong start to the show.
It was.
I also feel sad because you and I just had like one of the most excellent conversations ever, and the poor fans out there missed it because they don't have the privilege of just being with us all the time.
Being backstage.
Yeah. Any interesting things happen to you, fireman wise? You know, anything you want to mention, or any one thing you want to brag about? Did you look into the abyss and find a man's soul and drag it back to the surface so that he could live and all that?
No. none of that happened. I went to work and I came home.
See, that's the sad thing. We all have this vision of what firemen are like from the movies, and then you guys kind of lean into that because you got those weird hats for no reason. So it's like we feel like you've got like this interesting job, but it turns out it's the most boring job on earth, right?
At times, yes. At times, it's very boring.
What did you do at work? Did you like sweep out the garage truck hole thing, or what?
I do have something. I mean, not that anybody's really going to give a shit, but our whole apparatus bay where we park the trucks.
I was wondering what it was called.
Some people would call it a garage, but
I call it a truck hole. But yeah, go ahead.
Truck hole. It's like a front hole, but we have a front and a back hole we can drive through. Started fucking smelling really, really bad, like a fucking sulfur sewer gas smell over the last like week, and we're trying to figure out where the fuck it's coming from. It's fucking terrible. So we're trying to be firemen / private detectives to figure out where this. I thought it was the batteries on the truck, potentially. Not sure if that's it, but it comes and goes, and it's not pleasant.
If it's a strong chemical smell that comes and goes, it's probably Rob sneaking into the building. It's really unfair that I continued to dig on Rob for well over a year. It's everyone else wishes him well, and I'm kind of the only one that doesn't really want that for him. It's pretty terrible. Rob, if you ever hear this, I'm just joking. I don't know. What do you want me to say? Nothing interesting for me. Just some traffic complaints. Someone dumped a fridge in the middle of the road and left it there. I don't know. Like that's kind of what my 911s are like. They're not always very exciting either.
Well, it's expensive to get rid of a fridge, so
that's not true. What we do is push it to the side of the road because we're in the middle of nowhere. So maybe it's expensive for them. I see what you're saying, but they could have just at least dumped it on the side of the road.
On the side, not in the middle.
Yeah, not in the middle.
Let's be normal human beings here.
Yeah, I had to send out, maybe this is actually the first time it's appropriate to talk about it, but I had to send out a female deputy to take care of it because she was on the notice tenant in the area. And she put remarks on the call for service that, was moved by a strong deputy, good for her. But just, in light of the fires in Los Angeles, where we have a bunch of people who, can't lift a man and carry him out of a house and take care of things.
Or if he's in a fire, he's in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I was telling Keith before the show that I was, it was these damn twink firemen that couldn't put out a fire in Los Angeles. And, of course, they weren't well equipped either. But as I alluded to, Keith was. Anyway, I'm sure that you guys talked about the fires probably this morning while I was still asleep.
Yeah, we did. We did a little bit.
All right. And you probably talked about them last night while I was not watching.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, at least I tell you the truth when I don't watch. I'm going to go ahead and...
I love it when you don't lie to me.
Yeah, I mean, you try to protect my feelings, but I can only assure you that's a waste of time. I'm gonna go ahead and pay the bills, folks. The show's brought to you by GhostBed. Go to ghostbed.com and take a look at everything they have there. They have everything you need to have an excellent night's sleep. Frankly, I could use a ghost bed. This past week, I have been sleeping on a bed that I got from Facebook Marketplace, and every day I wake up feeling like I have just survived a brutal assault. Someone has taken socks full of batteries to me every morning when I wake up. And it's kind of strange because although it diminishes my zeal for life, it does increase the likelihood that I will get out of bed on time because it's horrible. It's like being in a car accident all night long. Go to ghostbed.com. Use the offer code WOLFPACK. You can save up to 40% on everything you find there, from adjustable frames, pillows, mattresses, the cooling technology that they have. We appreciate GhostBed. They've always supported everything that we have done and that Eric has done, and that everything we've all done together. We appreciate them, and they're supporters of veterans and first responders, just like me. Kiefer, first responder because he's a fireman, and me, a veteran, because I fought in Mexico's salsa wars. It sounds funny. So many died. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. So many died.
So many died.
So many died.
We left a lot of good men out there.
A lot of good men behind. But now it's time to heal, and you could do that in a ghost bed. Spend the whole night in the ghost bed. We appreciate them. Check them out. They will help make the show keep going. If you want it to keep going, you really do need to buy a ghost bed. I'm sorry it comes down to that, but that's the only way that we get paid. So go to ghost bed.
It's the only way we're hanging on by thumbs.
This specific episode is also brought to you by Monsanto. Monsanto is a multinational agrochemical and agricultural biotechnical corporation. Became known for its development, marketing, and genetically modified crops and seeds, along with the famous herbicide Roundup. Although it's faced some criticism and legal challenges regarding environmental concerns and the health impacts of its products. This is my research. This is not a bad read. Agent Orange and PCBs, so evidently surmised they probably also did it with GMO reports and submitted to the FDA for approval. They have not yet been caught, so it cannot be proven yet.
You have not booked a
falsifying reports. One of the most evil corporations ever. Fuck Monsanto. Why? I wish I hadn't read that. We're probably not going to get paid for this episode. This episode's also brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise. Oh, Lord, what a mayonnaise. Duke's. It's got that twang. You know what twang is, Jason? It's that little southern something that makes a good thing better, and only Duke's has it. Go to dukesmayo.com. Use the promo code DukesCountry for 10% off.
I do like some Dukes.
Duke's Mayonnaise.
More of a Hellman's man, but I do like some Dukes.
Why did you say that? I fucked up the Monsanto one, and now Dukes won't pay us because you literally mentioned the name of their competitor. Show's brought to you by McDonald's. Yeah, I sure love me some Burger King, though. Thanks. Thanks, Keith.
Flame grilled.
Yeah, okay.
Fucking Burger King's terrible.
Whatever. We're not getting paid. I'm gonna hurry this along because I'm on slave time now. So let's talk about the Vikings folding. Going home as I knew they would. I hate to pat myself on the back, but I have to, because I told you all season long that I would be proven correct, that the Vikings would eventually regress towards what the normal is for the Vikings and they would go home. I'm sad that they took a playoff berth away from a much more deserving team. I'm not even implying it's the Cowboys, but maybe some other NFC team belonged in their spot. So they wasted a whole bunch of people's time. They gave false hope to Minnesotans, which any hope for Minnesotans is a false hope. And they made Sam Darnold believe, in a future for him. He'll probably be back in Minnesota next year, but they collapsed. They pooped the bed big time in one of the most terrible ways. Did you watch the game at all? What did you think about the game, if so?
I saw bits and pieces. I watched a bunch of clips after the fact, but I was at the firehouse. Sorry, it's a call from Monsanto.
Oh, God damn it. If they're calling you, they're probably going to kill you.
They found us.
That's our own sponsors have found us.
But no, I saw some of the clips, and so Jill and I were in a fantasy pick'em league throughout the season, and then we got into a playoff pick'em league where it was just random draw. You got the team. I had the Chargers, so I was out very early. She had the Vikings. I was at work, and I called her before I went to bed. I wasn't feeling well. And she's like, do you know when my team plays? I'm like, they're playing right now. She's like, oh, shit. Well, next morning, she was not very happy. Because now she is out as well. I was like, well, that was a good $20 spent.
I was happy to see the Rams win. Can you imagine an NFC championship in which it will be Goff v. Stafford, the Lions versus the Rams.
I think it would be awesome.
We'll get into that a little bit later about why that would be really cool. I watched the Houston Los Angeles game, and of course, I really enjoyed it. I'm pulling for the Texans. They continue to be underdogs in the AFC playoff race, but they really beat the shit out of them Chargers. And I have to take credit for that because, of course, I picked the Chargers to win in the little competition between you and me, which I was probably almost all but lost at this point. But we'll get into that later.
We'll get into that.
Well, everything that you want to talk about, we'll get into it. But let's talk about Sam Darnold. This from Yahoo Sports, the pinnacle of sports reporting. Sam Darnold's disastrous playoff debut, on the heels of the Lions' loss, leaves Vikings with a big offseason decision. Will he come back? I think it really comes down to, JJ McCarthy and how well he's doing. Just 2 weeks ago, remember back, Sam Darnold was in the midst of a fever dream and lined up for a career payday. 2 disastrous performances in the biggest games of his career. And now his football future is suddenly murky. I hate this feeling. If I could say anything, like, you ever have it where you normally feel great about the job that you do? I do. I normally feel very good about it. And then you have one fuck up, and then it's always on Friday, And my Friday is not really Friday. So, like, there's always a day at which, actual Friday, in which I'm not at work, but all my bosses and all the people who decide whether or not I get to come back on Monday are still there. And so I'm like, if I have a bad fuck up, I'll be at home on Friday, and all my bosses are at work on Friday, and they're like listening to my audio and deciding whether or not I get to have insurance anymore or feed my family. It's just a terrible feeling in some ways after you have a bad fuck up. So I feel kind of bad for Sam Darnold. Anyway, he was outmatched and overwhelmed on Monday night in the first playoff game of his career. The result was a 27-9 win by the Los Angeles Rams over his Vikings that eliminated Minnesota from the postseason. The loss concludes a 14-win Viking season with a crashing thud and without a playoff win. How does it feel? What is it like to have a 14-win season and then not win in the playoffs? Gosh, I have no idea what that feels like.
Never heard of it.
This is there's a reason why you call it getting blue balled, and it's not just because one of the Dallas Cowboys colors is blue. The Rams entered Monday's game with a clear plan: win the game. But how? Pressure Darnold early and often, and see how he responds. It worked from the Vikings' opening drive. Darnold was indecisive throughout the night and frequently inaccurate as he managed to get rid of the ball.
Very uncharacteristic.
Very uncharacteristic. But is it? Because we have to remember the Jets time as well. Everyone was like ready to just select all and delete all that Jets time because we were like, well, it doesn't count. The Jets aren't a real organization. The Jets, if the NFL worked like soccer leagues do, they'd be going down to the next lowest level of soccer league, and the winner of that league would be elevated.
The other football.
Yeah, well, we don't call it that here.
That's right.
The Rams sacked Darnold on Minnesota's second play from scrimmage, setting up a 3rd and 21 and ultimately forcing a 3-and-out. Another sack of Darnold stunted Minnesota's second drive and limited the Vikings to a field goal. Minnesota's third possession ended in an interception. Minnesota's next possession got an even worse fate. I don't have to go into that. I really want to talk about whether or not he will be here later. Darnold was moderately better in the second half and led the Vikings to a touchdown in the third quarter, but it was too little too late. The hopes of a miracle comeback faded away. What do they do now? Well, on the heels of a high-stake game that they lost, the Vikings started the offseason with a big decision around the most important position in football, which I know what you're thinking, Keith, has got to be the long snapper. False. For some reason, they think it's the quarterback. Do they attempt to re-sign Darnold? Do they let Darnold walk as a free agent and hand the reins to J.J. McCarthy? Darnold was never even supposed to be in this position to begin with. The Vikings drafted McCarthy last year in the first round out of Michigan as their quarterback of the future. They signed Darnold as a veteran bridge and anticipated a backup for whenever McCarthy was ready to take the starting role. But a meniscus injury, which has to be painful, ended McCarthy's rookie season before it started. and Darnold was thrust back into the starting spotlight. He fizzled in previous starting opportunities with the Panthers and the Jets. Again, both teams probably not going to be in the NFL if the league was fair at all. This time, his third shot as a starter in his 7th NFL season.
Are you having a stroke?
I'm having a stroke. Let me just take.
Do I need to call emergency services?
No, let me just drink a little bit of this.
I was trying to see how many times Darnold got sacked.
You look that up.
I am.
Next time, have a stat ready to say when I need to take a drink. He led the Vikings to the 3rd best record in football at 14-3. He made the Pro Bowl this year. Everyone write that down. Pro Bowl doesn't matter anymore. It's a career redemption story in a sport that loves redemption stories. It was a fun redemption arc for Sam Darnold, but it's over now. But the 2024 season chapter concludes with a giant asterisk, and it will be too big for the Vikings to ignore. And it's going to cost Darnold money. It may ultimately cost him another season. But you know what? In spite of these 2 games and kind of the downward negative tone of this story, his redemption arc is really still successful because he came out of the Panthers and he came out of the Jets, which is like anywhere else your career dies there. Right. Like McDonald's just picks you up when you get fired. There's literally probably a guy that just runs crappy businesses in East Rutherford, New Jersey, that just goes and picks up people when they get into the waiver wire. He's like, guess what? You work at a restaurant now. And that's how it goes.
Here's where the dishwasher is.
But he was able to get picked up by Minnesota because they were a team that was kind of in the lurch with releasing Kirk Cousins the way that they did. And, J.J. McCarthy, some questions about him, just because of the way that he worked in Michigan. Was he really a leader, or was he really part of a big cohesive machine that worked there for Harbaugh? But, yeah, the injury put Darnold in a chance where it was, you're the man. You're going to go out there and do it. And in many ways, he stepped up and did it. So what does this grant him? Well, you pass go, you collected $200, and you get to go around the board again. And whether you wind up in Minnesota or Tennessee, you're going to get a chance to go out there and show your longevity. Even if you never become a great quarterback, even if you never have a year like this again, how many middling or terrible quarterbacks got to hang on and having backup jobs and just hanging on forever? Carson Wentz is still the backup of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's still in the NFL. So I think Darnold, although he's very sad that he doesn't kind of necessarily, without another excellent season, he doesn't get to go up a level. He's maintained his credibility as a quarterback when a year or 2 years ago he wouldn't have had any. And so I'm happy for him that he gets to go keep playing in the NFL. Keith, any thoughts on Sam Darnold at all?
He shows some ability, and he led the team all the way through the season and did very well. But I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened the other night as far as how they plundered the way they did. And I believe he was sacked 7 times, roughly, give or take, plus or minus. But
I can tell you what happened. I mean, I was telling people,
it's just not what we would have expected. I know it's what you wanted, but not what we would have expected in that that playoff game. I was expecting more out of them, to be honest with you.
I wasn't. I didn't expect any more. Some people were talking about, the possibilities of the Vikings heading back to the Super Bowl and how they could finally get that monkey off their back. And I said, hold up. Let's
hold up.
Stop the crazy talk. Okay. Because I understand concerns like this. It boils down to one fundamental question. Why do bad things happen? Why are the Eagles in the playoffs? It's certainly true that a certain measure to which man may exert his force of will over the face of the earth, inevitably the result is that bad things are going to happen. We've done it to ourselves. But instead of just focusing on only the negative things happening, the bad things happening, Los Angeles burning down, we have to also focus on the innate goodness that we can find all around us, Keith. Friendship, family, brotherhood, that movie Love Actually, people at the airports, greeting each other, that society's organized, that we have a police force, that we have street departments, that kids go to school, that we educate each other. There's structure and goodness in the world at all is proof that God is alive and active on the face of the earth. And he's out there and he's a good being. He's doing good things. And so you have to stop and you have to have faith, even at a moment of crisis when you say, but bad things are happening. And you could say, but good things are about to happen too. And they happen. And that's why the Vikings are currently at home in Eagan, Minnesota, because good things happen. So as much as you can be afraid in a moment of crisis that the aliens are taking over, that the Chinese will conquer us and put us into little camps, you can also have some faith that the Vikings will never win the Super Bowl.
All right, that's fair.
He's just like stunned silence. Like, I can't believe you made a moral equivalency with like,
I mean, it's fair.
With
It's
divine
fair.
implications. So that was your rationale behind why the Vikings were never going to go anywhere.
Well, I knew you weren't going to say anything nice about them.
No, you also knew I wasn't going to say anything real particularly sane. Mike McCarthy's gone from the Cowboys, meaning that everything that I hoped for when they lost that playoff game against the Packers, everything that I could have possibly hoped for came true. The team came crashing down, proving that we have to have a massive reset. The thing that I demanded 1 year ago, the thing that I wanted a year ago, I said I wanted everybody gone except for there's like 4 players that we should keep. Brandon Aubrey, the kicker, long snapper, is doing okay. Everyone else, Micah Parsons will keep, but everyone else we really just need to kind of look at, And now I think that's happening with Mike McCarthy gone. We're going to finally be taking a legitimate look at how the Cowboys should start to rebuild. So this is from Yahoo Sports. Who are the 5 best fits to be the next Dallas Cowboys head coach? I'm going to read through this with your permission, Keith.
Yes, do it. Because once you read it, I'm curious on your takes.
Well, in a rare move, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, and I'm not going to give my opinion at all, which means this is just a show where I read the internet to people. When Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, when he digs into his head coaching search, he'd likely prefer a coach who has a track record of winning. I don't know. I'm not even sure that's a given. He could go hone in an offensive-minded leader who can raise the floor of his team while having a history of winning championships. That's certainly what Mike McCarthy was. He won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and then somehow borrowed that as a personal credential.
Did you pull the press conference of Jerry Jones that I sent you?
No, you didn't send me anything.
I sent it to you on Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook.
Okay, well,
and if I am, I'm not supposed to be. I deleted my account, and if it's alive and active, that means it's probably been hacked.
Well, all right, then you're hacked.
I'm gonna make sure it's turned off. But I never got anything because I don't have the app or anything. I have no way of knowing.
I'm gonna work on it while you're.
I'll work on it too. Well, obviously, there's not going to be a coach next week. We'll be able to play it next week. Okay.
Fine, whatever.
Don't be sullen.
I'm sullen.
All right. It will likely be someone he knows well. Well, we know that. And we'll be put up with distractions of being the Cowboys head coach. Yes, Jones's best fit might be Mike McCarthy, but they just parted ways. McCarthy is gone and looking for a new job. He may also be working at a restaurant in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Funny enough, his best professional fit is probably coaching the Cowboys. And Jones will be trying to find a coach who can get his franchise back at least to the NFC Championship game for the first time since John was in 5th grade. But who are the best fits? Let's look at the 5 key names with a few bonus options that we brought up often. Should we mention that this is a job that no one wants? Before I read off and go through the list, who wants this job? The Cowboys are in shambles. The financial situation is in shambles. Working with Jerry Jones is like something no one wants to do. Even Mike McCarthy didn't really want this job, but after he was out in Green Bay, he was off for a year in which he started really learning about football again, he said. He took the job in Dallas and put up with Jerry because it was a place where he could be a head coach. And as long as he did 500 like Jason Garrett did, he could be employed there for 10 years. In some ways, he's even wiser and smarter than Matt Eberflus. But
I found
nobody. You found what?
I found what I was looking for. Once you're done, I'm going to play it.
You're going to play it?
Yeah, I'm going to try to.
Okay.
Finish your thoughts.
All right.
All right.
Now I don't remember what they were. You erased my brain. But nobody wants to do this job. Nobody wants to work with Jerry Jones. And it's the reason why Mike McCarthy, who was begging for a job 5 or 6 years ago, and Jason Garrett, who just, couldn't get a coaching job anywhere else, as evidenced by his brief stint in New York and then being fired there and then going nowhere. And now he's on NBC. And Bill Parcells, who retired, Bill Parcells was the last durable, meaningful, effective coach that we had. And he's gone. So we're not going to get anyone like Bill Parcells, who would be, I want Bill Parcells or Coach Bill Cowher. Those would be my two people that I would want. Now, they're both retired, but that's what I want. Go ahead with your video.
Those are both two solid picks, by the way.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can.
I should throw in Jimmy Johnson as well.
Fired Mike McCarthy because he looks like a fucking pork chop. And I hate that big ass play call sheet he holds during games. We all know it's a Perkins menu. I'm not even sure we need a coach. Hell, maybe we already have a coach in mind. Maybe he's sitting right in front of you, half drunk on Johnny Walker Blue with only an Egg McMuffin in his belly and a pocket full of Dinger pills. Maybe he's 82 fucking years old and needs his ass wiped from time to time, depending on how much Salisbury steak he's ate. Look, I'm going to do things my way, and my way is fucking terrible. But if you don't like it, then tough titty, said the kitty, but the milk kept coming. Listen, I'm never going to die, motherfuckers. I drink 8 ounces of hog's blood every day, and I'm a vampire feeding off mass disappointment. So learn how to accept meaningless primetime games forever. What I'm looking for in our next head coach is someone that values analytics and also someone that lets me take he and his wife to a Hojo's and sit in the cup chair.
Do you like it?
It really hurt.
Fucking AI is amazing.
Yeah, until it impersonates you or me.
That's true.
The reason why that hurts so much is because there's so much truth in it.
I knew you. I knew it.
Did you see Jerry Jones on Landsman though?
Mm-hmm. Hell of an actor.
Yeah, hell of an actor. So the real Jerry Jones is even less believable than fake Jerry Jones somehow. Because I broke down his Landsman appearance on one of my other shows, and I'm just like, if they need even 2% of this is real, what he's talking about, that it's hugely redemptive for him as a person. But I'm like, he probably doesn't believe that. He's obviously just a good actor if he could steal a scene from John Hamm and Billy Bob Thornton. And so somebody obviously typed that into AI, and we got a very realistic, uncensored Jerry Jones, very likely to just probably become the head coach. That was
somebody out there thinks that's real. I guarantee it.
Well, it's not real in a literal sense, but how real is it in a figurative sense?
I love it. You got one sitting right in front of you, drunk on Johnny Walker Blue. That's completely believable.
I don't think I've ever had Johnny Walker Blue.
I'm not a Johnny Walker.
I'm trying to remember. Probably the least realistic thing was the Howard Johnson's mentioned, but I did like how he's standing in there with a Perkins menu. I thought that was pretty accurate. All right.
I wish you'd seen that earlier. Damn it.
Yeah, if only.
If only.
If only. Okay, so we'll start with some realistic people who might be the head coach of the Cowboys, if anybody cares. Pete Carroll. He's a former Seahawks coach. He's the one who had Marshawn Lynch in the Patriots Super Bowl. And he said, pass it instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch.
Stopped at the 1 inch line.
Well, it got passed. I think the Patriots intercepted it to win the game.
That's what it was. Yeah. You worked for that.
Bill Belichick ages seem to be the reason that the NFL has shunned him, and why he went, and that's why he went to North Carolina. Pete Carroll's actually a year older, even though he doesn't look it. Well, Jones want to hire a 73-year-old head coach. We got to remember, with Jerry Jones being 82, 73 is pretty young.
Right.
Perhaps if he thinks the Cowboys are close to being a championship contender, which they're not. Carroll has a 170 to 120 to 1 record in the NFL with a Super Bowl ring. He also has one losing season from 2012 to 2023. Carroll has also more energy than most head coaches in their 70s. That's true. I've seen him yell at people. If he has a plan to hire an exciting offensive coordinator, this might be a good fit. He'd be the kind of win-now coach Jones has coveted when he fired Mike McCarthy. Pete Carroll. I don't know. I don't think it's likely or unlikely. I think he's a very middle of the pack selection. I think it's possible.
I know he wants to get back into coaching, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good fit or not.
I don't think it would be a very inspiring pick. And it's nothing against Pete Carroll. I think I've always respected him as a head coach. I can remember those years where the Seahawks were playing very well, where I respected his play. He's probably one of the. I would call him I would say he's our baseline, not good, not bad selection.
Okay, that's fair.
Kellen Moore, Eagles offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore actually holds the franchise record for the Dallas Cowboys for most passing yards in a single game. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I was not aware.
I think he's also a lefty.
Ooh, I like him. I'm a lefty.
No. Are you really?
I am. Yes.
You're left-handed?
Yes. Southpaw.
This entire time?
I do everything left-handed except for golf. I golf right-handed. For the audio listeners, the fucking look on his face is priceless.
I don't know.
You think you know somebody.
I should have been watching you.
It's funny. We're learning things about each other. We just, before we went on air, I had to ask John what kind of music he likes because I didn't know that because he doesn't tell me anything.
What would you like to know, lefty?
The fact you're shocked by that, that's awesome.
I don't like it.
I drink beer right-handed, though.
That's probably what throws me off is that every time I look at you, you're drinking beer with your right hand.
Sure.
Telegraphic to the world that you're a normal person when you're not.
We're inversed.
Born wrong is what you were. For better or for worse, Jones likes familiarity in his coaches. He knows Kellen Moore, who was on Dallas' staff from 2018 to 2022. He was a quarterback coach for Dak Prescott. He was also their offensive coordinator. Final 4 seasons with the team, offensive coordinator. That means Dak Prescott knows him well. McCarthy made a change at offensive coordinator after the 2022 season, in which Kellen Moore, on the last game and the last play of the season, had Ezekiel Elliott line up inexplicably at center and get smoked. Was it a joke? None of us has ever been sure what the fuck that was. But Moore has 2 solid seasons with the Chargers and Eagles since then. Seems like the type of person that Jones would hire. Yeah, okay, so things are going well with the Eagles. For him, that's good for Kellen Moore. It might just be that they have Saquon Barkley, which the Cowboys do not have, because we said no to Derrick Henry. We didn't even try. And I want to just reiterate that we didn't even try with Derrick Henry. I would call Kellen Moore not a good idea. Because even though he's got some good history with the team, the fact that he was with the Chargers and they moved on from him, and depending on how things go with the Eagles, I don't know if they would want to retain him or not. It just, to me, that sounds like something that I would say that's compared to Pete Carroll, that's a no. Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator. Johnson would be a different type of hire for Jones because he doesn't have any head coaching experience and would cost a lot of money. That makes it unlikely the Cowboys would make a push for the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. But after almost 3 decades without a trip to the NFL's Final Four, maybe Jones should try something new. Johnson is the hot coordinator in the league for his work with the Lions, who led the NFL in scoring this season. Every other team wants Johnson, and the Cowboys should be interested. Ben Johnson would be probably my number 1 pick. If I had to pick from any of these so far, Ben Johnson would be my number 1. The problem is that Ben Johnson can write his own ticket to any team he wants in the NFL. And Ben Johnson does not want to go I'm going to be a fixer-upper. He could go take any team that's middling or better, which the Cowboys are not, and probably for less money, since he's been offered head coaching jobs before and has volunteered to stay with the Lions because they're a top-notch organization right now. He's not likely to go to a broken down position where he's just going to have to do whatever Jerry Jones tells him to do for a lot of money. If he wanted to become cynical and just go to a team where it's all about the money, which this is not who Ben Johnson is so far as I can tell from this 10,000-foot view, yes, he would wind up with the Cowboys. He's much more likely to either stay with the Lions, which I would guess even if the Lions don't win the Super Bowl, he's likely to stay until he can get them a Super Bowl trophy. But I don't see him going with them at all. He's much more likely to wind up on and probably the top 10 teams from this season. I don't know. I just don't see him.
I don't see him leaving. I think him and Dan Campbell have a good relationship, and obviously are liking how things are going.
I will say that Jerry's probably very covetous of the Lions situation, and he knows he can't get Dan Campbell. And if he is kind of angry / respectful of Dan Campbell, the best thing he could do would be to take Ben Johnson away from him. So, I mean,
I'll show you, motherfucker.
I could kind of see that. Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator. I don't know as much about Aaron Glenn.
Much.
Another Lions coordinator might be a good fit. Glenn has a history with the Cowboys, playing 2 seasons late in his career. Wow, I don't remember any of that. Glenn hasn't been a head coach yet, but he's a lot of respect around the NFL for his leadership and defensive acumen. He's done a great job as the Lions defensive coordinator this season. He might be a fantastic fit in Dallas. That's probably more likely just because he doesn't have the name recognition. Cliff Kingsbury, offensive coordinator for the Redskins.
Ooh, I like him.
Do you?
I do.
Do you not remember his history with the Arizona Cardinals?
I do. I remember. I've always liked him. He's young, energetic. I think he kind of got screwed a little bit, but I think
didn't he spend a year in Thailand?
I think he'd be a good fit for your Cowboys.
Well, yeah, but you don't necessarily want what's best for me or for anyone, you left-handed freak. There will be sorry, you don't deserve this treatment. There will be a college coaches like
Steve. I look forward to it every Wednesday. What are you talking about?
Oh, I know, but I'm being especially terrible today. Steve Sarkisian and Marcus Freeman, who are part of the speculation, but the hit rate among college coaches going to the NFL is very low. It's a very long time since since Jones won championships with successful college coaches like Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer. It seems more than likely that it would be another Jones hire.
You know what?
Like Bill Parcells. Go ahead.
I think depending on what happens Monday, if Freeman gets beat by my Buckeyes, I think he will be looking for a professional coaching job. That actually would be a really, really good fit. And I'm being in all seriousness. I think Marcus Freeman would do really, really well with Dallas. Especially when he loses to the Buckeyes.
I'll have to look into him. I don't know anything about Marcus Freeman.
He's done a great job at Notre Dame. I mean, there's no doubt. I'm not a Notre Dame hater, but I am this week, obviously until Tuesday. What I don't like about Notre Dame is the fact that they won't join a conference. They're independent. I think that's bullshit. But
why?
I don't know the reasons. That's been like the holy grail of questions. Like why do you not jump into a conference? You could pick one. You could pick whichever one you want to go into. But they're always independent. But they're going to a national championship. And I saw a funny meme of Brian Kelly. I hate Brian Kelly because he completely fucked UC Bearcats over, Cincinnati, to go to Notre Dame. Says he wasn't going to go. And then ended up screwing all his players and alumni and everything else. Went to Notre Dame, which is a dream job for any coach, I'm sure. And then didn't have a spectacular career in Notre Dame. And then he fucked Notre Dame over and went to LSU. Well, you saw how LSU did this year. And last year, fucking garbage. So there was a funny meme. It's Brian Kelly losing his mind at a press conference, and the tagline above it is, "When you're Brian Kelly and you see that a team that you said would never make the playoffs or the national championship makes it after you leave," which was absolutely hysterical. I'm not doing it justice. I don't have it pulled up, but Marcus Freeman has turned that program around. Obviously you've got the coaches of Lou Holtz, who's a legend. Charlie Weiss was kind of here or there, but Freeman turned it around. And I think depending on what happens Monday in the national championship, he might be looking. I mean, they're going to want to keep him, but he might be looking, and I think that might be a good fit.
Well, if you say you can turn things around, that sounds like a check mark on a resume. Let me ask you this question, though, if I may. Mm-hmm. What are the benefits of being in a conference? Wouldn't it be better for Notre Dame to be able to select which teams they want to schedule for themselves every single year? I mean, what's the obvious benefit of being in a conference?
It's a valid point. I mean, Notre Dame gets all kinds of private donor money anyway. But I mean, most of it's money. I mean, obviously, most of it's financial. So if Notre Dame's not worried about it, then that's probably their reasoning. But it's just weird when you're playing a team that doesn't belong anywhere. It's like the nomad of college football.
Nowadays, it is. It used to be the case that you would even have professional teams that were not associated with the league. I mean, It's just the changing things through time. But 100 years ago, you could have a team like the Rock Island Independents. That was a team that played NFL teams. They were a football team from Rock Island, Illinois, and their professional football team, and they just played whoever the hell they wanted.
Is there an island in Illinois?
No, it's just the name of a town.
Just asking a question. You're pulling some shit up from 100 years ago, so
I only know about stuff from 100 years ago. I haven't caught up to modern times. I don't know about Marcus Freeman because I'm still learning about the Rock Island Independence.
Did you make it through the Oregon Trail?
Yes, I just survived the Oregon Trail, and we're now finally moving through early 20th century football. Gosh, someday that's going to come up on Jeopardy, and I'm going to be there, and it's going to be the moment of my life. Anyway, it seems more likely that with other Jones hires like Bill Parcells, Wade Phillips, and Mike McCarthy, Jones would rather have a coach with NFL experience. Maybe Doug Peterson would be an option. Boy, I would rather have Jerry Jones as the coach than Doug Peterson.
Yes.
At least everything would be hilarious instead of just sad. But he's coming off a poor couple of seasons with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He won a championship game, Super Bowl game with the Eagles. I think that makes him tainted goods. I don't want him. Kingsbury's time with the Arizona Cardinals didn't go that well. He's done some fine work with the Redskins. He doesn't have a direct Cowboys ties, but he is from Texas, which apparently would be enough. He played and coached at Texas Tech and spent some time on the staff at Houston and Texas A&M. Maybe that will be enough to check enough boxes to get him hired. I would say that's a bad one. Should we talk about the crazy selections here?
Yes.
Crazy ones. Let's go into fantasy land. Let's all, what's that song? Sing that song from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Come with me into a world of pure imagination. Is that what we're about to do? Deion Sanders. Is the reported mutual interest between Sanders and Jones legitimate? Seems like an unlikely fit, but you never know with Jerry Jones. If it's crazy, he just might do it.
I think he goes.
I think it's entirely possible. Could have Deion Sanders. There's questions over whether or not Sanders' style would play in the pros as well as he has at Colorado. You have to remember, as he goes up levels, he's not playing as well. He was very good at Jackson State. Now at Colorado, he's more fumbling.
Yeah.
So I kind of worry that if he goes up to the highest level, that he'll be promoted to the level of his incompetence. And that's not to put him down because he's obviously way better than me. I'm just saying everyone has kind of a ceiling for how well they can do. And there's no shame in being good at Colorado and being excellent at Jackson State. You're a fantastic head coach. It just means maybe you don't transition well, or maybe you wouldn't do well in the NFL, or maybe you wouldn't enjoy, being a Jerry Jones lackey. It's hard to deny Sanders' charisma or how well he has turned around a moribund CU program. Good job on the word choice there. Again, with Jones, anything seems possible, as likely as his hire seems. After virtually every Dallas Cowboys game, Jerry Jones, the team owner, general manager, and center of attention, arrives in the hallway outside the team locker room and makes himself available for the media. And no one pays attention to Mike McCarthy. He's usually talking to like 4 people. They're usually just like the guys that carry in the sound equipment for the cameramen. And they get to ask questions. He stands amid cameras and recorders and fields any and all inquiries about the game, the players, the performances, the refs, the decisions, and what he foresees going forward until pretty much the reporters are exhausted. He just jabbers on. And if that isn't enough transparency, every Tuesday he makes a weekly appearance on a local radio sports show to talk again off of creating a fresh media cycle. We've talked about that a lot this season. Is it 105.3 The Fan? This is all how Jerry Jones runs the Cowboys, and he has the right to do it. He owns the team. It's his team. We're just fans of it. It's unique, but it also is deserving of credit. Sure, it's uncommon for more media to be gathered around him than usually the head coach in a formal press conference, but Jones is available and accountable even after the most disappointing results. Yeah, you have to hand it to him. He doesn't disappear, even when it would be time to disappear.
Even when you should.
Even when you should. Well, they talk about it as is it media attention or is it accountability? Because he has had to go out there and answer some tough questions, and because he's so involved with the team, I guess I like the fact that he's being held to account, rather than him being some inscrutable figure, someone like Mike Brown.
Exactly. I was just going to go there.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're going to coach the Cowboys, then this is the reality you have to operate in. But now more than ever at 82, Jones seems to be set in his ways and eager as ever for camera time. It's not just the lack of spotlight that a head coach has to adjust to. Many would be fine without that. I know Bill Parcells would be fine if he didn't ever have to do a press conference ever again because Jerry Jones is doing one. Is that their voice publicly and within the confines of the team is not the loudest. Yeah, Jerry Jones's voice is probably louder back in the locker room. Players naturally want to know what the guy who negotiates their contracts, signs their paychecks, and determines their futures employment thinks. Meanwhile, Jones's comments often create storylines that require players and coaches to respond. It's a wild card for a head coach who generally wants complete control. Enter Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer, including 5 years and 1 Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys under Jones. He is coach prime now. Leaders of the Colorado Buffaloes in the college ranks. He's both successful enough and famous enough to pique the interest of Jones, who needs to sign a coach after the firing of Mike McCarthy. Prime in Dallas, it would be gold for the media. Pure gold. But would it make sense for either side? From 1978 to 1991, CBS aired a massively successful primetime soap opera based on a clash of big egos, big money, complete with an aerial shot of the Dallas Cowboys Stadium based in Dallas. Do you know the name of that show?
Say it again. I'm sorry. I was replying to Jenny in the comments.
He was doing something left-handed, everyone. From 78 to 91, CBS aired a massively successful primetime soap opera based on a clash of big egos and big money, complete with an aerial shot of the Cowboys' old stadium based in Dallas.
Called Dallas.
It says this would be the sequel. Guys, do you not remember that TBS revived Dallas just a few years ago, complete with Patrick Duffy? He dreamt in every episode.
It's garbage.
Anybody get that reference at all?
You're so dumb.
I'm so dumb.
You're so dumb.
I'm dumb. It was at least possible. 2 men spoke on Monday it was first reported in the news by Fox Sports. To hear from Jerry Jones is truly delightful. It's very intriguing, Sanders told ESPN's Adam Schefter. I love Jerry, and I believe in Jerry. I love Boulder and everything there's about our team, the coaches, our student body, and the community. He's like, I love Jerry. I love Boulder, too. I love the city of Boulder. There's no doubt hearing from Jones was delightful in this context. Would Sanders want to hear the team owner's thoughts after games or midweek, though? Sanders is generally the biggest star in any room he walks into. He's a Hall of Fame NFL player who is also moonlighted in the Major League Baseball. I remember that. He is one of the most accomplished athletes in American history, and he did it with flair and publicity throughout. Second fiddle has never been his thing. The thing is I think if he wanted to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think he would be second fiddle, though, because he can't own the Dallas Cowboys. That's like literally as much as you could do. And you talk about him being second fiddle. What position did he play? He didn't play quarterback. He didn't play wide receiver. He didn't play running back. He played corner. It's not exactly your top position. I mean, of course, he was going out there and making plays against the best of the best, Jerry Rice, very often. And so he would often be on highlight reels, but he played cornerback. So I think he understands how to be the best there is at what he does, at whatever he's doing. And you talk about him not wanting to be second fiddle. Well, he was the head coach at Jackson State, which is not exactly the most prestigious or well-known college throughout the country. He turned it around, of course, but don't make this about his ego, because I think he was willing to play and do the best that he could at whatever level he was at. And I think he realizes that building up to something, advancing your career, getting better and better and better has always been who Deion Sanders is. And I think that becoming the head coach of America's team is not a second fiddle position. As much as nobody wants it right now, I don't think it's a second fiddle thing. It could be destiny. And can I speculate wildly on something?
Yes.
I think the Cowboys have not done well since they walked away from God. And I think Deion Sanders, I don't know the quality of his faith, but if we brought some of that back, I think that's part of a winning mentality, is to have your faith in the right place. And if you can bring that back to Dallas, I guess I'd see that as an incredible positive. So if you want me to say something really, really positive about Deion Sanders being the head coach of the Cowboys, that would be it. Also,
I think it would be hard for him, though. Even though I want him to be the head coach of the Cowboys, just because I think it's kind of a coming home, and I know him and Jones have a good relationship. But I think it would be difficult if you've ever watched any of his Instagram videos or whatever of his team meetings. You know, he's the general in that room, as he should be.
That's what we need.
But he's telling kids that you're not doing this, this, and this. If you miss class, your practice is going to be more, and then you're also going to get. He's going to fine them. When you go and try to say that shit to Dak Prescott or Micah Parsons, they're going to look at you and be like, "Go get fucked. I got a contract."
Right, but I think he has a certain credibility as a player, though, and this is something
I agree
that Mike McCarthy didn't have. So, how can you look at Deion Sanders, someone who won a championship with the Dallas Cowboys as a player, and not instantly kind of respect that credibility that he has? That he was out there, he was wearing a white jersey with the number 21 on it. He has that credibility of bringing that back. And I don't know how important this is. For some reason, this matters, but he would also be the first black head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Anybody else care about that?
DEI hire.
Well, I think that he would. I don't think it's an equity thing for him. I think he might be at the place he deserves it. I don't know. It would be the biggest sports news of the entire cycle. You would have to have Aaron Rodgers signing with the Chiefs for it to be a bigger news story than that. In my opinion.
Good analogy. I like
it. So could they coexist? One argument is that Sanders is actually about the only coach who could do it. As much as Jones will command, Deion is a force unto himself and will be able to match that or exceed that. He's never been ignored. You mentioned something. I wanted to say this real quick, but I remember when he became the head coach, I think it was at Colorado, but they were talking. He was, I think it was in the midst of COVID, or it was still COVID protocols or whatever, or it could have just been a teleconferencing thing, but he was talking to a player, and the player that he was trying to recruit, he says, how's it going, Prime? Because he was excited to talk to, Deion Sanders, but he goes, you could call me coach. And so the player, the player's really, he's kind of full of himself because he's being recruited by Deion Sanders. And I guess it really went to his head, but he called Deion Sanders Prime again. He called him Prime, and Deion Sanders just got up and walked away. Didn't even turn the computer off. And that's his mentality, is that there's no player that's bigger than him as coach, not as Prime, but to respect his position as coach. So
he benched his own son.
Yeah, he benched his own son. I mean, that tells you that, when it comes to him confronting and standing up to players, I think that he has the mentality to do it. I don't think that Mike McCarthy ever did. I think Mike McCarthy's too much of a gentleman. He's too much of a negotiator. If there's contention or if there's a falling out, I think he's someone that will find a way to rebuild that relationship, but it's not through brute force. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is this a good job for Sanders? Could he succeed there? The Cowboys have a quality quarterback in Dak Prescott. That's a positive, although that would block any possible father and son reunion in the NFL between Deion and his draft prospect Shador, which I don't think is a big deal. Does he have to does he have to be with his son for the rest of his career?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
The way his mentality is, he wants the best for his kids.
Yeah, I think the best for his son would be to go elsewhere. But I saw this meme that said, like, oh, Dallas should trade, Dak Prescott away to the Tennessee Titans or whoever, in order to get that number 1 pick and then pick Shador. Well, the problem is that Dak has a no trade clause in his contract. So Dak's not going anywhere that he doesn't want to go. Just keep that in mind as you see these stupid memes floating around, that these impossible scenarios are often very, very much impossible. It's also unknown whether or not Sanders would make a successful professional coach. There's a long list of failures when jumping from NCAA to NFL. At this point, there's simply a question of match. Jones isn't going to change. He's acknowledged that he bought the Cowboys for something to do late in his life. He's always enjoyed the fame that came from the job. And even if he hasn't delivered a Super Bowl in 29 fucking years, he isn't going to quit. Sanders is unlikely to change. His instinct of making himself the center of conversation has worked spectacularly well in sports, coaching, and business. As well as he has it in Colorado, complete control, and as well as he is recruiting to keep the Buffs winning, even after his son Shador and Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter head to the league, the chance of coaching the Cowboys is not to be dismissed. It's intriguing, Prime called it. After reading that, I feel much better about it. I felt like it was crazy or a bad idea, but now I kind of feel like it might be a good idea.
The fact that like he used the term intriguing tells me he's thinking about it. I mean, whether it happens or whether it doesn't, I think that would be like the Cinderella story for the Cowboys. I don't know if it's the end all be all correct answer, but
it would be sad if Deion came back and they weren't ever able to make much of themselves. But do you know what?
I think it would be awesome if he did, though. That's the thing is,
do you know? I think Jerry Jones's age might actually play into it because I think it's time for him to take that ultimate risk. He's 82. Every day's a gift when you're 82. Maybe he feels fine. Maybe he doesn't feel like he's coming to the end of his life. I've heard him say some comments before that no one wants to see this more than me, like he's running out of time. I think it might be time to put all your chips in and take a big gamble because you could take a guy like Pete Carroll or Cliff Kingsbury and these very safe choices, and you come out, 9-8, 10-7, something. That's not enough.
And Jerry's son is what? What's his role?
He's like, well, there's some debate about that because Jerry Jones will call himself the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, but at 82, how much does he do a day? I'm not sure that he's doing very much of it. I'm guessing, particularly since he's running a lot of aspects of the Dallas Cowboys, not just football operations. I'm guessing that Stephen Jones is probably, in reality, the de facto GM.
The real GM.
Jerry has kind of transitioned probably more into, he knows everything that's going on with the team. He makes decisions about the team. But I'm guessing day-to-day it's really more Stephen than it is Jerry at this point. And Jerry's still obviously the figurehead, the public information officer. And I think he allows Stephen to make decisions and even bad decisions without taking the heat. I think Jerry says, I can take the heat for these bad seasons and these bad decisions while Stephen can remain focused on helping the Cowboys win without having to worry about the negative stuff. I think that could be their dyad if you're asking. Let's wrap this up, though. Another bonus round, Bill Belichick. Maybe if the Cowboys are more forward-thinking with separating from McCarthy, Belichick would still be an option. I don't know how that works because he just went to the Tar Heels, and it's like, I guess he's not doing that. Belichick has gone to coach in college, a challenge he has said that he wanted to take on, and Jones is averse to paying buyouts, which is an odd for an owner of a franchise worth $10.1 billion. It'd also be a bad look for Belichick to back out of North Carolina after just taking it. Belichick is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history and would be a good hire for Dallas, but it's hard to see this happening. And finally, the craziest thing that could happen that's probably not that good of a good idea, even though it would be okay with me, I guess, is Jason Witten. He's a special place in Cowboys history as a player. It's really hard to see Jason Witten jumping from high school to the Cowboys. That would be even harder than to imagine than going from the Colorado Buffaloes. Jones has praised Witten in the past and said he believes Witten will be an NFL head coach. Could Witten be on the Cowboys staff in 2025? Perhaps. I don't think as a head coach. It's just as a reach to think that he'll be Dallas's head coach next year. Never rule anything out when it comes to Jerry Jones. I think he might view Jason Campbell as his own, or I might think Jerry Jones might view Jason Witten as his own Dan Campbell. I think there's some equivalency there for him.
I think to not bring him in some capacity if that's something he's willing to do in their room. Bring him out of the gate. I don't know.
Yeah, bring him in as a tight end coach. Bring him in as he could even do offensive line work since as a tight end he was often lined up on the offensive line. He understands how that works. He also played linebacker at Tennessee, so it's possible he could even have a fit in a defensive role. And since he's guided a high school team to a national championship, it kind of shows that he does know how all the pieces work. Let's go ahead and do the picks this week. We want to talk about where we're at.
Yeah, let's do it.
Strategy not working for me. I'm at 0.72. Well, Keith has surged to a 0.762. He's far ahead of me now. These games, of course, all this past week are heavily weighted because we only had 6 games. So me going 3-3 this week was very, very bad for me. Keith, of course, came out 5-1. Very strong week for him. Fuck, what do I say? Like, I'm trying to figure out the strategy for this week, and it's like I can't zig when you zag because like that resulted in me making very stupid decisions, like picking the Vikings. I can't. I have to zig where you zag, but I can't compromise and just say, well, for the hell of it, I'm going to make a bad decision. I'm going to pick the Broncos. I'm going to pick the Vikings. I'm going to pick the Chargers. So when we make our picks this week, I'm going to be a little bit smarter and stronger about it. Speaking of which, in football this week, this is what the playoff games look like. We'll have the number 1 overall AFC seed, the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against the Houston Texans. On paper, this would seem to be a strong game for the Kansas City Chiefs. However, you have to remember that their point differential as a team this year has been the lowest since like 1933. They're going out there and winning games, but it's always by slim margins. They're not putting up huge numbers as they have in the past. The last time the Chiefs played the Texans went out to a lead of like 24-0, and then the Chiefs came surging back, and the final score of the game was like 51-32 or something like that. So the Chiefs know how to hang in there. They know how to overcome the Texans. The Texans are still probably underdogs in this one, with Patrick Mahomes and the refs all being on Kansas City's side. It's just always completely obvious. And if I watch this game this weekend, I'm probably going to be sick to my stomach watching the refs completely cheat it up. Since you're still winning, I guess, I don't know. Did you want to play or defer? Who gets to choose first? Or
I'll defer. I'll defer to you.
All right. Unfortunately, I have to pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win. I want the Texans to win. But I don't see it happening. I just don't see the Texans going to the AFC Championship over the Chiefs. It just seems impossible to me. But what are your thoughts on it?
I mimic your thoughts. I want the Texans to win, but I have to pick the Chiefs. And Michael Hendricks in the chat says, can we do a prayer circle or something for the Chiefs to lose?
All of America.
Yes.
The same America that did not send Patrick Mahomes to the the Pro Bowl. We will all be hoping. Yeah.
But yes, I have to take the Chiefs in that one.
Chiefs, okay. And then this will be one of the tighter and probably best games.
This is going to be a good game.
The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. They're seeded 2 and 3, which means they could just as well be 3 and 2. It's going to be a lot like this game that you saw this past Sunday night, the Redskins and the Buccaneers. Why was that game so good? Well, it was because of all the way that the seeding works. You normally have the top contenders facing the bottom contenders, but those two teams were right next to each other. They were most evenly matched, which is why NBC put them on Sunday night. It's going to be the same thing with these two teams, both powerhouses, both incredible teams. Lamar Jackson and whoever that guy is who plays for the Bills.
Josh Allen.
Just joking. They're going to go out there and have an amazing game. I'm worried, though, that with as much scrambling and rushing as both Jackson and Allen do, that injuries are coming. We want quarterbacks to pass from a pocket, and both of them seem to be in a situation where it's like, fuck it, it's on me. I'm going to go do it. Right. I would say the Ravens have an advantage because they have Derrick Henry. That's someone competent. You can pass off the ball, and you can have every confidence he's going to succeed. Derrick Henry's been shredding boxes and running right through. It's almost like he doesn't even need an offensive line. He's a one-man offensive line. He can push people around. Who are you going to pick?
I'm going Ravens.
This one goes either way, so I don't have to feel bad. I'm going to pick Bills.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Over on the NFC side, you've got the Washington Redskins taking on the Detroit Lions. This is one of those cases where you have that one of the best teams in the league taking on a team that kind of snuck into the playoffs as a wild card. But Washington's playing well. It's one of the best seasons that they've had in 20, 30 years, maybe even longer than that. Jaden Daniels having an excellent season as a rookie.
Yeah, their first playoff win in 20 years.
Yeah, they're made up of largely of Dallas Cowboys. Their center is Tyler Biotish, and they have Dorrance Armstrong on the team, and Dan Quinn's their head coach. So they're sort of like the Dallas Cowboys if we got rid of all the shit and there was no Jerry Jones. So, how am I supposed to feel about that since I hate the Redskins? I don't know, but I'm going to take the Lions in this one. Seems like a good choice. I think the Redskins have played well this season, but the Lions are about to put them to bed. And the Lions are headed to the NFC Championship, which will be. Have they ever played in the NFC Championship before? They have, haven't they?
Oh shit! I'm not sure. Hold on.
I'm sure that they have. So you have to select the team, though.
I'm going to do the Lions.
Go with the Lions. Okay, and finally, the Rams did not play well to start the season. They looked terrible. There were several games where I did not pick the Rams to win. I said the Rams.
It was 2023. Yes, I did.
Well, okay. So, yes,
I don't know why I was so confused about that. And that's my
They went to the NFC Championship in 2023.
Yeah, against the 49ers.
Last year?
Lost 34-31. Well, I'd be technically, I guess.
This is the 2024
two
season.
seasons ago, but yeah, January 28th of 24.
Okay.
Yeah,
my brain does not remember that for some reason.
No, me neither. That's why I had to look at it.
Of course, I'm fading away into dementia. But before that, I mean, it's been a long time since the Lions have been great. And okay, so I guess they were the NFC Championship game recently. They know how to handle the pressure. This is not going to stress them out. And this time they're not facing the top-notch San Francisco 49ers. That's not to put down the Redskins at all, but I believe that they'll win and they'll go to the NFC Championship. And then finally, the Rams, as I was saying, I had them counted as down and out, and they kind of came surging back. You can never count Matthew Stafford out. They have a very young defense. How do you think they're going to fare against the evil Philadelphia Eagles? And
I think 91 was the last time for the Lions. So it was a long time. This is kind of a tough one because the Rams played very, very well the other night. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take the Eagles.
I'll take the Rams.
Ooh, all right.
I think the Rams.
We split it. We split it this week. I like it.
I think the Rams played well, and I do have to use. Like I said, I can't pick. If I just pick the same as you, then I'm just going to be in the same place next week. So I'm not making stupid decisions this week.
No, you were very, very articulate about it.
I don't think that it's mathematically possible for me to overtake you now with the number of games left, though.
I'm not a math guy, but
I'm not a math guy, and even though I could figure it out, like I could at least like project myself as the complete winner of this week and you the complete loser. I don't think it's possible mathematically, but I'm still trying.
That's all that matters. Buddy.
I'm used to being mathematically eliminated from contention and still having games left to play. That's very normal for me. So very, very, very exciting. Do we have anything left to discuss? Any other reactions from this week? Anything else you could think of? Anything else on your mind?
Not sports related that I can think of.
All right. When's your next episode?
We got Ohio State and Notre Dame playing Monday, 20th on Inauguration Day.
Yeah, that's going to be a big day, isn't it?
That is a big day.
Historically,
I might podcast all fucking day long.
Historically, in Trump's inauguration in 2016, I took the day off, but I didn't this time. I wonder why.
I don't know.
Probably because I don't have the news here. I wouldn't be able to watch anything anyway. All right. So when's the next episode of One More and I'm out of here?
It'll probably be Monday. I'm hoping to I got to get with Dan, but hopefully get something out before that. But you can guarantee Monday there will be something.
Whatever happened to Andrew Pepperoncini?
Pepperoncini. He was on our show last night. I thought he was. I didn't think he was going to be on because he travels. He's got a place up in Michigan, and he snowmobiles, and they got like 12 inches of fresh snow. He was going to go, and then he had some issues at his house, so he stayed. So he was on our episode last night, but we'll see.
Who could say no to 12 inches? All right. Something else to think about. It was 10 years ago. The greatest robbery in the history of the NFL took place. The 2014 Dallas Cowboys were indeed a very, very special team. This moment lives on in my memory. This is sort of where I stopped as a football fan. I'm stuck in this moment before the refs run out and declare Aaron Rodgers the automatic winner of the game. Clearly a catch. Clearly a victory for the Dallas Cowboys, a year in which we could have and should have won the Super Bowl. And Tony Romo had it.
Bone cold. Des never caught it.
Bone cold. I never even see you here. You only show up to occasionally like heckle me anymore. Where have you been? He caught it. It's indisputable. Even after this, they changed the rules so that this would have been a catch. But you know what? Rules don't apply retroactively. So you want to argue about whether or not it would have been a catch. The NFL Referees Association changed the rules so that this would have been a catch. Des Bryant took to Twitter recently this week, and he said, like, I still don't know what a catch is, because if this isn't a catch, what is? And so the other thing that was really rough about that, I watched the game at my ex-girlfriend's house. and she doesn't love me. So it's just, I don't know. It's real bad memories all coming together all at one time. But the Dallas Cowboys in 2014 were special. They were special in 2016 too. And I misspoke last week. I've got to correct the record. I said that historically, no 7th seed team has ever beaten a 2nd seed team ever since the playoffs expanded. That happened to the Cowboys. They were the first and only team to ever be the 2nd seed and to lose to the 7th seed. That happened, I believe. Who is it they lost to? Was it the Rams or the Seahawks, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to look into it anymore. I'm in a lot of pain, but so I misspoke to say that it had never happened before because the Dallas Cowboys are the only 2nd seed team to ever lose the first round against the 7th seed. So usually only just listen to the audio. Well, you know,
things have changed.
Abandon your 7-month-old child and watch me. I feel like I'm more important. All right, guys, that's it for us. We're going to leave. I'm going to go out to the car and eat some eggs, I guess. Probably go back to sleep, cry myself back to sleep. Keith, I hope you have a good day. It's always a pleasure podcasting with you. And with all sincerity, I apologize for overreacting to the fact that you're a lefty. However, I should not have been made to find out on the air. I feel like that should have been a private conversation so that I could have seethed about it, not in front of the people who make the show so special, which, of course, is all of our fans. So I will catch you back here, Keith, and I will find a way to deactivate my Facebook so that doesn't happen again. I don't know why it's activated. Who could guess? I will turn that off. All right, guys, we will catch you back here in the near future.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
I love you to the extent that I can. I will talk to all of you later.
Love you, John.
Love you, Keith. Bye.
Bye.